Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Some members of the Muslim community in Rotherham have announced a boycott of South Yorkshire Police over what they call the demonisation of Muslims in the town. They say that since the publication of the J report into child sexual exploitation, they've been under what they call perpetual attack. The J report, as you may remember, revealed around 1,400 children were sexually exploited, predominantly by men of Pakistani heritage, in the area over a 16-year period. Muslims say Islamophobia in Rotherham is now at an all-time high, and that recent demonstration by groups like Britain First mean they're fearful of leaving their own homes. These pictures we're about to show you were filmed by our reporter last month at a Britain First demo in Rotherham.
Britain First! Fighting back! Britain First! Fighting back!
It's we, the people of Rotherham, who came out when the first J report bit. We came out and we demonstrated on behalf of the victims. These guys are milking it because they're Islamophobes. They hate every Muslim, they hate Islam, and they use any opportunity to get to demonise Muslims.
Islam will be banned because Islam is utterly inside. Any
So as a consequence then, freedom of religion, freedom of speech is also banned? Is that
There should be no freedom of religion for a religion like that.
Let's talk now to Mubin Hussain, the chair of the British Muslim Youth, who organised this boycott, and also to South Yorkshire's Police and Crime Commissioner Alan Billings. And I'd be really grateful, gentlemen, if you would actually talk to each other. Mubin Hussain, why don't you tell Alan Billings, A, why you're calling this boycott, and B, what it means in practical terms?
Firstly, I want to make it quite clear, the boycott hasn't been just called by the British Muslim Youth. It's actually been called by an alliance body, the Rotherham Muslim Community Forum Alliance, where every single mosque within Rotherham has signed up, and other organisations have also signed up, to boycott any engagement with the police. What we are saying isn't that you boycott any services of the police. Of course, if there's an emergency, you call the police. But because the police has failed to engage, the police has failed in actually tackling Islamophobia and actually communicating with our community, we will boycott any engagement with the police.
OK, and just to be clear, the reason is because you say when there are attacks on Muslim people or verbal abuse of Muslim people, the police won't what?
First and foremost, the police pushed a pernicious lie suggesting that they didn't make arrest for the grooming scandal because of fears of being called racist and other claims. The Muslim community with Rotherham...
Sorry, what was... I mean, I was well aware that that was one of the reasons that it was said the police didn't investigate the men of Pakistani heritage for fear of being seen as racist. What are the other claims, the other pernicious lies as you describe them?
They've come into our meetings, they've said one thing to our faces, one thing in a community level. They've come to our community and recognised that we have heightened tensions, but behind closed doors, there's been no action taken. There's been, actually, in fact, we've been told that, for example, in one incident, we can review CCTV footage. When they go back, they say, well, there isn't CCTV footage. And these double U-turns that have been actually happening.
So you're unhappy with the way they investigate incidents?
And we've been negotiating and having engagement, and we've been left with isolation for the last 14 months. You know, our women can't come out to the streets.
Why?
Young people are being bullied. 14 demonstrations have taken place. 27 separate cases on incidents of Islamophobic abuse have been reported to Tell Mama, which is an anti-Muslim hate crime monitoring organisation alone, where there is high underreporting. And these are our grievances.
But are you saying the police are not investigating? Is that your main issue?
If we were suggesting the police isn't investigating, we would have boycotted the services. The problem we have with the police is the police isn't putting any prevention schemes and projects into place, and therefore there is no point of having engagement if our engagement and our cohesion isn't going to be taken on board.
Just so I'm clear, what sort of prevention measures do you want to see put in place?
Well, any at the moment.
Like what?
Any.
Give me an example.
For example, there's an increase in Islamophobia. Have we spoken out and out to the Muslim community? And I don't talk about those people who are being paid by the council or police officers. What implementation have we done? Have we given young people in schools and the women who are working or people in the town centre advice how to report this hate crime? Have we even looked into? The Prime Minister actually has called upon separate reporting. We've been campaigning for separate reporting. What has been done in South Yorkshire to implement entertainment, separate reporting, and giving people confidence within the policing system. Quite frankly, nothing.
Okay, Alan Billings, there's a huge lack of confidence in your force in South Yorkshire by Muslim people in Rotherham. What do you say to Mr. Hussain?
Yes, I hear what's being said. It's not my force, of course. I'm not the Chief Constable. I'm the Police and Crime Commissioner. So my job is to hold the police to account on behalf of the public. So I hear what this section of the public is saying, and I accept there is something in what they're saying, otherwise they wouldn't be feeling what they feel. My problem at the moment is, though, we simply don't know where to go now. If they won't talk to us, then how do we know what these grievances are, what the complaints are? How then can we put them right? So I think it's essential now that we don't disengage, that we actually engage with this group, which I suspect may be a newly formed group, and that we come together and we try to work out where we go from here, because if we don't do that, all we have is complete negativity again, and that's exactly what Rotherham does not want. I think the people of Rotherham are really sick and tired of feeling under the cosh all the time. They want to make some sort of progress. So I'm very happy to meet with this group, to hear what they have to say, to try to get to the bottom of what the grievances are, and then to go to the police on their behalf, and perhaps ultimately to bring them and the police together again, if that's what's needed.
We are all about engagement. We've had 14 months of engagement. You know, if you ask a Muslim from Rotherham to walk into any other city throughout the country, and I felt the same when I mentioned I'm a Muslim from Rotherham in Europe, and this stereotype of grooming is being brandished onto you. You know, this is a type of feeling that is within the Muslim community in Rotherham. We want engagement, we want dialogue. However, we've boycotted the engagement with South Yorkshire Police in Rotherham. We've had no calls from the Chief Constable's office. We've had no calls and dialogue. We will hold a dialogue, but because this boycott wasn't just called by myself or the alliances, the community itself. If we can agree on a public meeting with the right stakeholders, we are wanting engagement, but we want the assurances that we can be heard and listened to as equal citizens. We have had an unprecedented account on child sexual exploitation. We were the first Muslim organisation throughout the whole of the UK who actually came out whilst being called groomers, whilst being blamed, whilst having women attacked, children attacked, and vicious attacks. We still came out and said that we are against child sexual exploitation. We still till today are with the victims of child sexual exploitation.
Okay. Are you going to... Sorry, go on.
I hear what's being said there, and I think that I'm very happy to take up that request that we do have now a meeting, a dialogue between myself as Police and Crime Commissioner and this particular group, and see where we can progress it from there. And if attempts in the past have failed, then I'm very sorry about that, but we can, the only way we're going to make any kind of progress is by coming together and listening to what each has to say. We need assurances, we need action. For 14 months we've had these false promises. If these promises aren't false, if we can be provided with the simple things that we ask for, and that is to be recognised as an ordinary community, feeling, the tensions that we do and actually heard, then of course we can have dialogue. But for dialogue to happen, we need the right circumstances, we need the right stakeholders, and we need the public and the community involved from day one, because they're the people that are actually feeling the pressure. I think what I'm saying to you is that I'm ready to meet with you on your terms in any place that you want to name, at any time you want to name. Because I think that the last thing we want is a breakdown of relationships between us. I mean, the real enemy here is not the police, and it's not different parts of our community here in South Yorkshire. It's those who come into our community. You mentioned the 14 marches and demonstrations. That's what's disrupting our towns like Rotherham, like Doncaster, like Sheffield. And it's that we all have a vested interest in opposing that. So if we can come together now and talk about where you think the police are letting you down, then I think we have the beginnings of a positive dialogue, and we can make sure that there is real action, real positive action going forward.
Will you do
that?
But
if we simply cut off all communication, then how can there be any movement forward? It's impossible.
Movement will come forward when there is also people held accountable for their actions. Apologies aren't enough.
No, but will you meet Mr. Billings?
We will speak to the community and the alliance system, the people involved. The British Muslim Youth is only an individual stakeholder within that. the community that actually met over 300 people, over 1,000 people in one day signed a petition saying they had no confidence in
Okay,
the
so
South
you
Yorkshire
will
Police.
ask them if you
We will have a
meet.
public meeting, and we are down for dialogue. We want to have
Okay.
dialogue, but we need people to be held accountable for their failings, for telling us one thing, and we have proofs where they've told us one thing in a community meeting and another thing behind closed doors. Will they be held accountable for those misactions and those, misconceptions and these, blatant lies that they've been providing us?
Okay,
Well, I need to know what those issues are, and the only way we can do that is by meeting and talking.
thank you both very much. Thanks for coming on the programme. Alan Billings, who is the Police and Crime Commissioner for South Yorkshire, and Mabib Hussain, thanks for your time as well. South Yorkshire Police, by the way, say at a time where factions would look to divide our community, it's never been more important for us to move forward and move forward together if we're to make Rotherham a safer place to work and live.
I've been getting away with it.